Okay, so today we're going to be going over the top 5 things for muscle growth. Let's get into it. Okay, and the first one is you have to be eating in a calorie surplus. So quickly, for those of you that don't know what that means, and this is like the same thing as like bulking, basically you need to be eating 200 to 500 calories or more, but that's going to lead to an increase in fat stores when you're trying to do this. You need to be eating at least 200 to 500 calories in a surplus over your maintenance. So let's say your maintenance, if you wanted to stay, like I know right now I'm like 202 pounds. If I wanted to stay at that weight, let's say it takes 2,400 calories a day, and I will stay at that exact same weight. So if I would need to be in a surplus, I'm gonna be eating somewhere between like 2,600 to, what did I say, 2,400, so 2,900 calories in a day, somewhere around there. And that alone is going to allow my body to just put on weight in general. Now, obviously we're talking about muscle growth specifically. So a specific part of your diet, because we're talking about diet right now, is, and this is like the second tip, is you need to be eating a high protein diet. Now, what is considered high protein? At least 0.7 grams of protein per day per pound of body weight. So just a quick breakdown, I said I'm 202 pounds. Let's just bring it down to 200 for the sake of the math being easier. So if I needed, for me, if I'm 200 pounds, I need to have 70 grams of protein for every 100 pounds because it's 0.7 per pound you have. 0.7 grams per pound you have, right? So every 100 pound is going to be 70 grams of protein. That's like just like a quick and easy way to figure it out. And you could like kind of estimate with that. So for me, let's say I'm 200 pounds, that's going to be at least 140 grams of protein a day. Now, in my personal opinion, that is like the low end. I personally try and get closer to that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So whatever your weight is, just get that many grams of protein in a day. Now that definitely can be a little bit difficult. It's for some people. I typically, especially when I'm bulking, don't have that much issue with it because I'm not as concerned with overeating too much. Like if I eat an extra 200 calories in a day to get my protein in, it's not a big deal. So I try and get closer to that just because, as I said, 0.7 is the low end, and I'd rather be safe than sorry and just eat a little bit more in a day. So I would say try and get closer to that 1 gram if you can, but you can't use that 0.7 as like your bare minimum that you know you're gonna hit every day. And if you want some tips on like certain meals or just anything you can eat, I have a bulking video that I will put at the end on the end screen. Okay, and those first 2 tips obviously kind of went together. It was diet and then eating high in protein. The next 2 tips also go together. So first, it is you have to be resistance training in some sense. Like if you just eat a high protein diet but then aren't working out, you're obviously never gonna put on any muscle. Like you're just not. Maybe you'll put on a tiny bit from like your daily walking or whatever you're doing during the day. You might put on a little bit. But if you truly wanna put on muscle, you have to be working out. Personally, I would say at a minimum, resistance train 3 days a week. Personally, I do it 6 days a week. And if you're watching this, you probably are willing to do at least 5-6 days a week. So you want to do resistance training a lot. But the tip that coincides with this is intensity. Like your training intensity has to actually be there. Because like there's so many people in the gym that will just go in and do 3 sets of 10 and be like repping out their sets. And then like they can have a conversation the whole time and like they'll just put it down like they're doing nothing. It's like that isn't really doing a lot for you. Are you going to get some gains? Yes. Like if you truly want to be getting gains, like you have to actually be struggling. You have to have an intense workout. You need to be pushing yourself during your sets. So I would say you want to get within at least 2 reps of failure. Some people just train till failure. You can do that. I know about where failure is going to be for me, so I'll go within 1 to 2 reps of that. Maybe get some partials at the end. Partials are a great intensity building technique. Another 2 great intensity building techniques are going to be like supersets are great. So an example of this quickly would be like repping out sets on the bench or like any chest press machine and then dropping and doing some push-ups till failure because you're hitting your chest on like the chest press machine or the bench press, and then you're dropping to the floor, hitting your chest even more. And then another thing would be drop sets. Quick example of this is, let's say you're doing like a tricep push down or something, right? Once you finish your set, let's say you're doing 50 pounds, right? You're gonna pull the pin out, put the pin at like 40, 45 pounds, maybe even 35 pounds, and rep out more sets till failure. So training intensity is so important because, as I said, like if you're not pushing yourself, you're not giving your body a reason to change. Muscle growth is a change in your body, right? But if you don't give your body a reason to change, why would it change? It kind of goes like the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If your body doesn't feel a need to change, it's not going to. Your body puts on muscle to deal with the stress you're putting it under, which when you're working out, that is technically stressful. So that's the reason why intensity and resistance training are so important. And the last one is probably the one that gets neglected the most by most lifters. It is recovery. Like recovery is so important. Oh my gosh, so many people just push their recovery to the side and just expect to make gains. Like if you're sleeping 3 hours a night, training twice a day, 7 days a week, you're just not gonna make any gains. Like you're just not. That's one of the reasons, like if you think about it, when you hear a lot of professional athletes doing like 2 a days, like I feel like I remember hearing like a great example of this, Kobe Bryant, like great Kobe Bryant, RIP. Like that man, he wasn't like this massive person. He didn't have these massive muscles, but he had a lot of definition. Why is that? Because he was training twice a day all the time. That is great for what he was trying to do as being a basketball player. He wasn't trying to put on size, but if you're watching this, you're trying to put on size. So you can't be training like that. So you need to be actually properly recovering. And now the main portion of this that I want to dive into are not overtraining. So this would be like, don't hit chest. If you're trying to grow your chest, don't go to the gym 5 days a week in your chest. You're just going to be overtraining it. You're not giving the muscles enough time to recover. So you want to train a muscle, I'd say at most 2 to 3 times a week. Typically you'll hear most people doing 1 to 2 times a week. I personally think 2 is the best because you can do like a 3-day split, rest day, 3 days, and that gets you to your 7 days in a week. So that's what I personally like the best. But you just can't be overtraining. Like you have to give your body time to recover. Because as I said in the last example, like the resistance training is giving your body a reason to change. But if you don't give your body the time to change, that's not gonna happen. Now, the next thing that goes along with this is sleep. So just like a quick understanding of this in like a very basic level. When you're in the gym, you're tearing the muscle. That is what you're doing. You are tearing the muscle in the gym. And that then lets your body know that it needs to make an adaptation. It needs to change. Now, when does this change happen? It happens during sleep. And this is another thing that I feel like a lot of people don't realize is some people will be like, oh, if I'm sleeping 5 hours a night, at least my body's getting some time to recover. And like, in a sense, yes, you're right. But if you're not getting into specific portions of your sleep, then you're not getting the muscle recovery. You're not actually letting the muscles grow. Like you might be getting 5 hours a night, which you think you can function on fine. And good for you if you think you can do it, but you are minimalizing the amount of gains you could get. Sorry, minimizing. You could 100% be making more gains if you're getting the proper amount of sleep every night. Now, how much sleep should you get? This is gonna vary, and I do have a video on this. I will try and put it at the end along with that bulking video, if it'll let me. But if not, I'll put like one of the cards up now in like the top right. I think it's the top right. You should be getting somewhere around 7 to 9 hours a night. Now it's gonna differ depending on who you are. And honestly, there's also life constraints like you just have to deal with that maybe you can't get as much sleep because maybe you gotta work 2 jobs or whatever it is. But try and get that 7 to 9 hours. And a quick couple tips on like things that'll help is try and go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day. Your body will just get used to it and it'll make it so much easier for you to fall asleep at night and wake up and not feel like extremely groggy in the morning. That is one tip. Also, if you're not resistance training every day will make you just a little bit more tired and it'll make it a little bit easier to fall asleep. So those are my top 5 things for muscle growth. Like all of these are just so important. There definitely are a couple other things. Like there are some supplements. The one I will just quickly throw in is creatine. Creatine will definitely help you a little bit, but it's not gonna be like a crazy amount. Like I believe I heard like if you took creatine every day, don't quote me on this, but I believe you'll add like maybe like 2 to 3 pounds if you're doing everything else right by the end of the year in muscle, which like that's something. I'd definitely be happy with that. And because I take creatine, I am happy with that. But it's not going to be like the end all be all. Like there isn't just like some magic supplement or pill that you can take that's just going to magically put on size for you. So, okay, let's get into my Sunday Night Football pick'ems. Let's get it. So this week we have Chiefs versus Saints, and the spread for this game is Chiefs -5. So the Chiefs are 4-0, squeaking by a couple wins right now. The Saints looked really good through 2 weeks and looked like through the first 2 weeks, they're probably the best team in the NFL. Them or like maybe the Bills. But then have looked pretty bad the last 2 weeks, as I believe they're 2-2 now. And so honestly, the spread at -5 is kind of big because the Chiefs notoriously win by just a few points. Like, they just don't typically win by a lot of points. And they are pretty banged up right now. Like, Rashid Rice got hurt yesterday, and I don't think anything has come out yet, but I'm pretty sure he probably has like a torn ACL, which means he's not going to be playing. Pacheco's out for them. But they're just dealing with a lot of injuries right now, the Chiefs. And Mahomes has not been playing incredible, which is kind of impressive that they're 4-0. But even with the Saints struggling, I would probably take the Saints +5, but I do think the Chiefs are going to win the game. I think the Chiefs are just going to win by like a few points like they somehow always do. So that would be my pick for the game. All right. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and send this to anyone trying to put on muscle right now. And I'll catch you all next Sunday at 5 p.m. Get you there.